So guys, welcome to another episode of Touch Mondays. This is episode 4 and we thank you for walking this journey with us so far. I hope that it's amazing, but here, as we keep on saying it, we keep it real, we keep it touchy, and here's how to do it. So today we'll be focusing on so the policies. We're now working on the ideologies. We're just getting into it and we're focusing, zeroing into what SRHR is. For those who are just seeing these videos for the first time, SRHR is Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk about, look at it into a bigger perspective, and we're talking policies, we're going to talk about court rulings, we're going to talk about challenges facing the discussions, and we're also going to collect a few opinions from people in youth in the country. But I want us to look at it from this perspective before we get into the policies. There's this thing that Caesar mentioned towards the end of episode 3, that there's stuff to do with rape. Rape is not a discussion that we've been able to have because, I don't want to say because of patriarchy, because most people usually believe that is what's it. But I would love us to have a little discussion on what rape is, because I think it's a very sad state of affairs to have to go through that. And most times we usually say that it's because of what the women were, it's because of what the victims were, but you realize that there are people who rape children. There are people who rape women who are fully dressed up to the bottom. There are girls who rape men. We've had stories in those high schools where people raped watchmen until they died. Like, it's, when we talk rape, we usually tend to think it only happens to the females. It happens to males as well. But we need to have a holistic discussion on why it happens. Because we cannot say it's about the dress code. It's not about, because a dog knows a dog, and it is a dog. A dog knows, if you train a dog and tell it, don't touch my meat if it's on the table, it won't touch it. But we can say as human beings, we cannot keep our hands to ourselves, or we cannot just stay like that. So what do you think fuels rape? Just before you get into the policies and the court rulings and stuff like that, what do you think is the problem of the rape culture?
I think it's more mental, it's more psychological than it is anything else. Because you realize that most rapists suffer from a psychological problem. They're looking for something to, there's a void they're trying to fill. So this is more of a psychological issue that actually has to do with more of, the person, the perpetrator himself or herself, trying to, fill the void with something else. It might be from their upbringing, it might be from experiences they have had in the past, it might be something, but it has to be, for me, I think it has to be psychological. That's the main stem of the problem.
Or it's a psychological problem.
Just to add on what Lily said, for me I also think it's a mental issue. More so it's a power issue, whereby the perpetrators want to feel like I am in control, I'm in power, and they derive enjoyment or joy when they feel the other person going through. When the other person is struggling, when they are crying, they find joy in that because it's not normal for a normal person. I like the word for that. It's not normal for a normal person to do such a thing.
That reminds me of a conversation we had before we had this YouTube channel, when we were talking about sex and all that kind of thing, and we were saying that so men were telling us, or educating us as women, that for sex, the reaction of the female or the whoever really has a lot of psychological impact on the man.
Exactly.
And it has a lot of impact on how, if is this guy gonna stay, ejaculated the whole time, erected the whole time, or what is really going on in the mind of this guy. So when you say it's a power issue, it's more of how do you have sex with someone who's not reacting or someone who's fighting it back. Then it has something to do with your psychology.
Because okay, mi nasema as in kwa mtaa yangu kwenye na stay, there is this person like he's very old but ana rape watoi wadogo, watoi tu wadogo sana, like 5 years 6 years, unaona, he rapes both girls and boys. Then penye msichana wake sasa aliolewa tena, huyo husband wa huyo msichana ana rape sasa madem wabigi sasa. So I was asking myself, do you think that this rape whatever imekuwa ni kama ka culture kwanza sana nikiangalia family, do you think inaweza kuwa like passed from as in it's a family thing or something?
For me, I actually think that we cannot say that the rape culture is something that's familial. It's just like you say stuff like, let me take you a little bit to church, stuff like sin. You cannot say that it's generational. It's the decision that you deliberately make. Yeah. It's also the steps that you say, today this is how I'm going to schedule my day, this is what I'm going to do. Nobody says, Ati, since your father did this, you're also going to do that. Yes, of course, the environment where the people grow in is going to impact it like very greatly, and maybe Leona, this is what this guy does, and maybe it's okay. But as we were saying, we've raised two very important points as well, as we just continue to discuss it, that it's power play. Sometimes it is. It reminds me of a movie that I remember, I think we were having that conversation sometimes before we came on set, that it was a movie that was talking about, it shows these guys who are in a training camp in Germany or Russia or somewhere, and it's a guy who really wants this chick, and he's always harassing her sexually. Let me not say he's only making sexual moves. And one time, so people realize, but now it's a military school, so everything is treated like that and all that. Then this girl reports it to the teacher and stuff like that, and the teacher says, you need to find a way of making him stop. Find what is the weakness, what is the psychological link to him always harassing you sexually. I'm not excusing the rape culture, that's what was in the movie. Then this time, they come to class and the lady spreads her legs and tells her, okay, fine, come into me and stuff like that. And she tells him, I want you to do it while looking at me in the eyes. Then we realized that the guy actually could not. He was like, so he cannot. The people who just go for victims, and when you say something to do with power and the psychology aspect of it, it becomes very. Yeah, I think I was able to link those two, and also what you pointed out concerning the reactions of people. Sex it's a very complicated thing, and as much as yes, we derive pleasure from it, it also serves a higher purpose. Like I almost tend to think of it as a spiritual exercise, where it's just transfer of energy and stuff like that. And sometimes you realize that, as we told you guys, we're going to keep it real and really touchy. So as part of where we're going deeper into it, there are pornographic sites where people say stuff like clean porn. So what these sites do, they don't show you the genitals of these people. What they do show you is the facial reactions of these people when they're having sex. And the people who get aroused from you can just get aroused or get climaxed just from seeing the facial reactions. Like there's sites for that and stuff like that. I know, Caesar, you're a good girl and stuff like that. You'll pretend that you don't.
I'm not pretending.
It's okay. I will educate you. We will tell you. But yeah, that's the thing. So now let's just jump into the policies. Now that we've scratched.
Before we jump into the policies, I feel that we also need to talk about rape. And we really need to define what rape is.
Okay.
Because there's so many people in relationships right now, in marriages, who get raped in their marriage.
Without knowing.
Without knowing, actually. Because for sex, it has to be consensual.
Yeah.
And the key word here is consent. If you know,
it has to be words.
It has to be words. Not like your actions are showing
that you looked like you wanted.
Exactly. And you don't know unakani kama the way you're looking at me unataka. No, guys, it has to be your words. Yes. Like the yes word.
Yes.
And what most people don't know is, if he is your husband or he is your boyfriend and he has sex with you without your consent, that is actually rape.
Yeah.
And that is something that we overlook most of the time as young, many people.
Yes.
Because most people, they realize, don't really know what sexual harassment is, and rape is a form of sexual harassment. So we really need to demystify rape, because rape is not only by people out there who don't know you or your relatives out there. Your husband may be raping you. Yeah.
I think we need to have a special video for just rape. Yes. Because it's very wide, and we can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
Great. Yeah, that sounds good. We'll also post a link in the description box below concerning the consent, because you said something of consent. Look at it as a cup of tea. As we've said, we'll post a link in the description box. If I come to you and I ask you, do you want tea? If you say no, do I force you to have the tea?
But what if you take that tea and you feel it's good?
No. If you say no, can I force you to take it?
You can maybe confuse me a little.
But if I confuse you a little and you say no eventually, am I allowed to force you to drink the tea?
No, you're not.
That's the thing about rape. So consent is, and when somebody is sleeping, are you allowed to, and you ask them, do you want tea, and they don't respond, are you allowed to give them that tea? Like if you cannot give a sleeping person tea, how can you force your nini?
I have a question.
Oh, mine is called prof. My
Niko
guys.
na swali. Oh. Okay. Niko na swali.
Yeah, just ask it.
According to like to issue na sex venye Lily amesema consent.
Yeah.
Kama okay, hautaki sex but uko kwa marriage. We are talking about marriage, unaona? So you engage in that act of sex like force. Ukifosiwa, then you realize that because okay you never wanted it but because unaendelea tu hapo sex, it becomes something good. Is that even rape?
But you see, I think what Foucault says, rape is still rape. Whether you get to enjoy it because eventually, if you're gonna climax, you will enjoy a climax. That's what I like to think. Even if God forbid, if I get raped and I climax, I will enjoy it. Yes, I'll be in pain, and the whole idea will not. Even if it turns into something sweet, I think it would be sweeter if you consented to it. So as we've said, we'll post the link in the description below, and I think we will. We could talk about the policies. Let's talk about the policies and the various laws that are meaning it. So don't worry, guys. We're going to give you a part 2 for this discussion because I see we've taken so much time and we've talked about rape, and we're also going to do a special feature concerning rape according to your requests. Yes. So, could you tell us about some of the policies and frameworks?
The major policies that we have in Kenya, just 2. Okay. When it comes to reproductive health, we have the National Reproductive Health Policy, which just it helps to link the information that we have concerning sexual and reproductive health and to just standardize it across all boards for all organizations, the government, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations that are dealing with anything to do with sexual and reproductive health. Then we also have the Adolescent and Reproductive Health Policy. This one is just specifically tailor-made for the adolescents and the youth so that we are able to address their issues specifically and to address their needs, because you can tell that this is a very special group of people and they're very different from others.
Yes. That's amazing. Also, what I think we cannot just leave you guys on this emotional high or on this intellectual high. We cannot just bring you here and then when you're about to not climax or whatever it is. But what we're going to do, we're going to post the links to the various sites where you can get to understand them more. We're also going to do maybe a special feature, as we've said, concerning these touchy issues that we're going to talk about. We'll post them in the link below. And guys, please don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with the youth who needs to know this information because it's very crucial for us. It means a lot that you've stayed through the minutes with us and spent time. We are very grateful for your presence and company. And till next Monday, this is Touch Mondays where we keep it real, we keep it touchy, and here's how to do it. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely day, night, whatever it is you're having.
Monday.
Oh yes, have a lovely Monday. Goodbye.
Bye.